What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And today we have the clips from my live stream that I had just got, where we took on the brand new KIZUNA clash versus BARTO and HAKUBA. Not really BARTO and Cavendish. Remember that the Super Evolution does transform Cavendish into HAKUBA. But of course we have 3 different teams for each different boss. We've got 2 generic teams that, you know, just normal teams that you can build. But then we also have a 1 team versus all against every single variation. So there's going to be timestamps down below in the comment section and also in the description of the video. So make sure to go ahead and skip to whatever clip you specifically want to see. These teams that you do see in this video are essentially the same teams that we talked about in my preparation video, showing you guys exactly how these teams work in practice. This first team is versus the Psy variation, of course, and we're using Friend Captain Killer. Killer's very important for this quest because he actually removes 6 turns of Rainbow Shield, which is what you have to deal with post level 31. But also, Killer has the potential ability of removal of Special Limit. Now, after level 31, you will be inflicted with 1 turn of Special Limit, where you can only use 2 specials for the quest. Obviously, it's a big downer. You can actually use the KIZUNA Rare Recruit Treble as the Friend Captain in this quest too, because he actually does have that as one of his potential abilities, and he also has the ability to remove Paralysis, which is what you do have to deal with in this quest as well. So either Killer or Treble on your team is going to make the most difference in clearing this quest, especially in the later KIZUNA levels. Moving on now to the secondary team, which is somewhat similar. We're using the Killer as the Friend Captain once again, but we're actually getting a chance to use the brand new Treasure Map Bege as the Captain, and the main reason why we're doing that is because his Captain is not terrible, but the special ability that he has, it makes clearing Stage 2 way more efficient, because his special says that we get different effects based on what class our captain is. You get one effect if you've got a shooter captain, you get a different one if you've got a driven captain, and he also gives you a full board of slots and an orb boost, and it just works out perfectly. When you have Capone as your captain, you get the full board of slots, you lock them, you get rid of the bind. He just does so much, and his special alone is enough to just kill this stage alone, which is so good. You could potentially put a support on him to give you some additional damage increasing effects, just to make this stage a little bit more easier to clear. As you can see, we only just find a way to get the kill, so you may want to put a support on him just to give you some additional damage. Not really necessary though. But of course, when we reach the last stage, we have Killer to get rid of the Rainbow Shield, and he also gives us a color affinity buff. And then of course we do have the Crocodile, which gets rid of the paralysis, but we do have the support of Mr. 1 on Crocodile. You do not need that, at least not for the earlier levels. Later on you will need it, because there is 6 turns of paralysis, so you will need to find a way to get around 6 turns of that paralysis. Crocodile removes 5. The support that is on him does remove an additional 4 turns of it, which is kind of nice. We have Moria for the orb boost, we got the Big Mom attack boost, and then we have the Yamato for the Wano slots and the chain buff. Moving on now to the 1 team versus all. So this one exact team is going to be used on all 3 variations. One thing to note though is that the ship that we do use here, which is the Doflamingo pirate ship from the training forest, you actually do not need to use this ship. Initially I thought you actually had to use it, because I thought that you would need more HP versus the Psy variation or the Int variation boss, because during that quest you get dealt death damage and a health cut, and I felt like you did need the additional HP to tank the hit, because the Rare Recruit Jesus Burgess only allows for 60% damage reduction, but I completely overlooked the fact that Doflamingo's special does a 30% HP heal. so you do not need as much HP as I thought. So you can actually replace the Dofi ship with the Shark Superb ship, and because we have a strength captain, you're able to abuse that to give you even more damage output with this team. So of course on this quest we're using Jack on stage 2 to remove the bind, and then we move on to the last stage and we have Treble to remove the paralysis. We've got the Capone to remove the damage reduction, but also Doflamingo with the support of Tashigi removes an additional 2 turns of Rainbow Shield. So after level 31 we can actually remove up to 7 turns of Rainbow Shield, which is fantastic. And because we are using Treble, he has the potential ability of special limit reduction, so we don't have to worry about that post level 31. Moving on now to the second variation of fights versus the int fight. The first team that you're seeing here is going to be a Shanks crew team, and this team is not really optimally built because I didn't really account for a way to generate matching slots for the crew once I reached the final stage. But we only have 3 matching slots on the last stage, and even only with half of our team with matching slots, we're still able to do well over 200 million damage, so that's pretty cool. And the really cool component of this team is we're using Odin, and Odin has a really cool special that provides an attack buff for our free spirit and our slasher characters, and because the whole team is actually free spirit and slasher, it's actually very, very nice. The only unit that isn't is Frankie, because he's actually a fighter and a shooter, so we don't really get the full buffs for him, but it's not really the end of the world. Frankie's very useful though, because he buffs any chain lock that's on our crew, he buffs the multiplier of it, but he also removes 6 turns of defense up, which is what we actually have to deal with once we get to the final stage post level 31. There's also Special Bind, 6 turns of it after level 31, which is why we're having Shanks crew as the captain, and also the death damage. This is the stage with the death hit and the health cut, and then Odin is enabling us to give us 95% damage reduction, and he also heals a bit of HP. He allows us to tank the death hit without really too many issues at all, and having some type of really good chain related buff is useful due to the fact that there is a chain attack down based on your chain multiplier, and in this team example we have the Shanks crew special, which enables us to remove it. The second team variation for the int boss, we are using Gol D. Roger. Now, I will say that the one character that is super good for this quest is Alvida. This Kizuna rare recruit Alvida, it's actually a very old unit at this point, but it's so good. So the good thing about Alvida is that she removes like 7 turns of defense up, so that's a tick for after level 31. Another thing is that I believe she provides damage reduction, so she provides a way for you to tank the death hit that occurs. Another thing is that she also gives you color affinity to your free spirit characters, so if you run a mono free spirit team with that Alvida, she enables you to deal with that too. So she is just a perfect unit in this quest, really. We are also using Garp because that does deal with the special bind, and it also deals with the attack chain down because he gives us a 3.25 chain boundary that caps out at 6.0. So that actually works out perfectly. You do see we use CatDog here, and the only reason why CatDog is here is because he provides an orb boost on the final stage. Realistically, you could replace it with whatever you want. The only reason why he is here is just due to the fact that he does provide an orb boost, and you know, if you have Rayleigh Gaban, you could just use that instead. Really, like there's a lot of units you could use instead of CatDog for this team. But of course, we have Shanks on the team. which deals with the threshold that occurs on stage 2 as well. But overall, a really fun team, and should last a really long time in this Kizuna clash as well. And then, of course, we have the one team versus all. So with this team, once again, we're bringing it back. And with the way that this team works this time around is that we are using the Fire Tank Pirate special on stage 2, because we need a special that can remove 5 turns of threshold, and the Fire Tank Pirates are capable of doing that. We also don't need to save the Jack special for the final stage, so we can just use Jack special and the Fire Tank special on battle 2 of the intervariation, which gives us a lot of damage on that stage. The only real downside is because of the way that the Fire Tank special works, it does put our slots into the slot change impossible, which does also mean that the characters on the crew cannot get the Wano slots from the Yamato special when we use it eventually on stage 3. So I guess that is somewhat of a downside, but at the end of the day, you can just, tap with one of your characters, with Treble, for example, who is the hardest damage dealing unit on the team. We can tap with him to break the slot change impossible, and then we can guarantee him getting a Wano slot on the last stage, which at least is fine, but at least you do get the chain boost from Yamato on the final stage, which is the main reason why she's here in the first place anyway. And then, of course, when you reach the last stage, Treble deals with the defense up after level 31. He also gives us the chain boundary. We also have the Dofi Captain, which removes the special bind. And then the Jesus Burgess is very important here because it provides 60% damage reduction. But of course, as we touched up on earlier, you can switch out the ship for the Shark Superb ship to give you more damage, as I did overlook the fact that Doflamingo provides a healing special, which completely didn't even realize, as you see in this clip. I was actually reading the Doflamingo special again just to see how I actually gained health back. So that's actually really cool. So this one team versus all is providing lots of good stuff against this BARTO and Hakuba fight. Okay, so now we head into the final of the Kizuna Clash bosses, which is the strength variation. This first team is using the super evolved Uta, the quick Uta, as the captain, and we are building essentially a cerebral focused team here. And the cool thing about using double Uta is that you can get the double stacking specials, right? Whenever you activate, one Uta, you get the attack and all boost every single turn, but whenever you activate the second Uta, while you have the turn progress effect activated, you get a full board of tandem slots, they're locked for 2 turns, and you get 3 turns of a 1.2 chain multiplicative buff that we can carry into the next room. So we get the huge attack and all boost, the multiplicative buff. It's awesome. The only real bad thing about this team is the fact that we don't have a way to trigger the super class of Uta. Now, we do have this Doflamingo to remove the attack down for stage 2. We have the Sengoku. The only reason why he is here is that he has the ability to remove ship bind. Literally the only reason why he's here. Uta as a captain is a really good choice because her captain does remove the special reverse that is dealt to the crew. However, after level 31, you are inflicted with despair, so you do need some type of way to remove that despair. We have the Beppo with the law support, which will remove up to 6 turns of that despair, which is exactly what we need. And that's pretty much it. And that's essentially how it works. We have the Black Maria, of course, which gives a color affinity buff, and it does remove the enemy's defense up. Moving on now to the second final team, which is Trafalgar Law. Super Tandem Law, should we say. This unit is so good and still one of my favorite legends in the game. He's just amazing. Now, one character that is so good for this quest is Sunny-kun. Sunny-kun special deals with a lot of gimmicks on the final stage, deals with the special reverse, deals with the block slots, deals with the ship bind that will eventually occur as well, and with the way that this works too, because we have Beppo, we can activate the super class, and we can activate the super tandem, so we can actually get the super tandem and the conditional attack boost from Law, which will deal with this stage super comfortably. So stage 2 is not a problem at all, and because we do have 2 Laws, we can activate one for an attack boost and one for an orb boost, which is so good. Doflamingo once again to deal with the attack down, and we have the Hyogoro on the squad, which allows us to get a color affinity boost, but it also removes 6 turns of defense up, which is nice. It's what we have to deal with. And once again, we do have to deal with despair that does occur after level 31, which is why we have Beppo with the double special launch and the Corazon support attached to Law, which will remove an additional 2 turns of that despair. So a really fun team, and should actually do a lot of damage in this quest due to the fact that you can actually trigger the super tandem effect, which is incredibly strong. And then we've made it to the one team versus all. So the way that this team is getting the job done is we can activate Jack special on stage 2, which is fine. And then on the last stage, we have to deal with defense up, which is what the friend captain treble deals with that, which is great. Now we have 2 turns of special reverse. 1 turn is the base level, but after level 31, there's actually an additional turn of special reverse. The Jesus Burgess deals with 2 turns of special reverse by himself, which is great, and also provides color affinity buffs. Also, you got, Doflamingo Superclass, which does also deal with -1 turn of special reverse too, if you do need to do that. And then of course, once again, Yamato gives us the full board of slots and stuff like that. I believe also the Jesus Burgess deals with 5 turns of despair, and we do have the Lafitte support attached to Burgess to actually deal with an additional turn of despair. But overall, that is it. That's going to be my teams thus far for the 10-star difficulty Kizuna Clash versus Barto and Hakuba. Hopefully you guys have a good time farming it, and so we can super evolve this brand new unit. Really hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.